Welcome to Chapter 15, Supply Chain Management, starts on page 652. On page 654, under Introduction, supply chain is a sequence of organizations, their facilities, functions, and activities that are involved in producing and delivering a product or service. Supply chain. Supply chain management is the strategic coordination of the supply chain for the purpose of integrating supply and demand management. Supply chain management. And then logistics. Logistics is the movement of goods, services, cash, and information in a supply chain. Logistics. Down toward the bottom, some of the key aspects we can relate to under this is number one, determining the appropriate level of outsourcing. Do you make it or do you buy it? On the bottom of page 655, some trends in supply chain management, and hopefully some of you will be doing your independent research to say, hey, there's new trends emerging. So that's exactly what I like to see in your independent research is the book says this, and that was accurate as of that date. However, things are changing. You know, we're not outsourcing as much. We're insourcing. We're bringing this back from Mexico, this back from China because of certain concerns. So again, the book was accurate at the time. However, trends change. So under the trends in supply chain management, although different industries and different businesses vary widely in terms of where they are in the evolution of their supply chain management, many businesses emphasize the following: measuring supply chain ROI, return on investment, greening the supply chain, and reevaluating sourcing. So that'll be interesting. I know a lot of you have talked about green efforts. So is that as important now as it was when the book was written? Greening the supply chain. On the bottom of page 657, risk management and resiliency. Risk management involves identifying risk, assessing their likelihood of occurring and their potential impact, and then developing strategies for addressing those risks. Strategies can pertain to risk avoidance, risk reduction, risk sharing with supply chain partners. Sometimes, like right now, you could get a $1,000 ticket for fishing on the Detroit River. So if I'm fishing with somebody, I'm like, I ain't in this alone. We're going to share that risk. Somebody might say, couldn't you do risk reduction or risk avoidance by not fishing? Okay, moving on. On page 659, under the global supply chains, discovering that global supply chains have additional complexities that were either negligible or non-existent in domestic operations. These complexities include languages and cultural differences, currency fluctuations, armed conflicts, increased transportation costs and lead times, and the increased need for trust and cooperation among supply chain partners. Cooperation among supply chain partners. Doesn't always have to be this. Sometimes it can be symbiotic, where we all benefit. On page 660, under ethics in the supply chain, and I'm sure a lot of people will like that. I mean, that's a good thing to be concerned with, ethics, you know, treating others the way they want to be treated. Every company should develop an ethical supply chain code to guide behavior. Hey, it's not in this book, but one of the ethical dilemmas that we used to discuss had to do with sending your batteries down to Mexico. Because not only did you not have to pay to get rid of them, you got some money back. it was really doing some polluting, but all of a sudden, instead of losing some money, you're making some money and you got your problem solved. However, was it the right thing to do? Interesting. I like the ethical dilemmas. On page 661, 3 aspects of supply chain management that are often of concern to small businesses are, number 1, inventory management, reducing risk, international trade, but certainly inventory management. The smaller the business, the bigger the deal that is. You can't afford to throw much away. Also on page 641 in the middle, another area that often needs attention is risk management. The key to reducing risk is managing suppliers. Important steps are use only reliable suppliers. That's got nothing to do with who's the cheapest. I think we've all seen that before is, yeah, but that was the cheapest. Think how much money I saved. In fact, I had to buy it 5-6 times because it was terrible, but so I saved that much each time. Use only reliable suppliers, not always based on price. On page 662 at the very bottom, under procurement, you can get some idea of the importance of purchasing when you consider that in manufacturing, upwards of 60% of the cost of finished goods comes from purchased parts and materials. For those that have had some other classes with me, you know I'm a numbers guy. If you've taken design for manufacturing, I love rules of thumb. So here, procurement's a big deal because 60% of the cost of finished goods comes from purchased parts and materials. That's over half. Math being what it is. Okay, on page 669 at the top, under supplier management, aspects of supplier management are described, including supplier audit, supplier certification, and supplier partnering. So supplier partnering, we talk about on page 669, but that takes us one step beyond just working with a supplier. I'm going to share with you information that's going to make it easier for you. I like the old story about there was a tire manufacturer that was having a hard time billing automotive company for the right number of tires, and it was just a nightmare. So finally, what they said is, "Hey, we got an idea. We will keep you in tires all the time. You just give us your build schedule. We will keep you in tires all the time, and then we're going to send you a bill based on what goes out the door." Meaning, you probably aren't going to send a car or vehicle out the door unless it has 4 tires on it. So we're just going to say once a vehicle goes out the back door, it had 4 tires on it and we can bill you. That's supplier partnering. On page 674, under logistics. Logistics refers to the movement of materials, services, cash, and information in a supply chain. Talked about that a little bit earlier, but you may have seen on trucks that you see 18-wheelers going down the road, so-and-so logistics. Movement of materials, services, cash, and information. On page 676, radio frequency identification, RFID. Several of you may end up reporting on that because that's usually of interest, especially to kind of technical folks. Radio frequency identification, a technology that uses radio waves to identify objects such as goods in a supply chain. Hopefully somebody's going to do a little one of their independent research on, I think it was Google or Amazon, that they were putting RFID chips in people so that you could go up to the machine, put that in, and it would debit your account for whatever you were purchasing. The machines are the vending machines. So I'm sure some people are very against that. I don't care about that technology. I care that you're concerned, but on page 681, under Managing Returns, products are returned to companies or third-party handlers for a variety of reasons and in a variety of conditions. Among them are as followed. Number one, defective products. Ideally, that's when you're going to get something back. Also, recalled products, obsolete products, unsold products returned from retailers, parts replaced in the field, items for recycling, and simply waste. But ideally, defective products. On page 683, under challenges, one of the barriers to integration of separate organizations and their functional areas have traditionally had an inward focus. They set up buffers between themselves and their suppliers. Changing that attitude can be difficult. The objective of supply chain management is to be efficient across the entire supply chain, instead of being able to blame the people before or after you, which is sad to say what is in place in a lot of places. Down at the very bottom, cross-docking. Cross-docking is a technique whereby goods arriving at a warehouse from a supplier are unloaded from the supplier's truck and unloaded onto outbound trucks, thereby avoiding warehouses storing. I used to work at the Meijer. I ran general merchandise warehousing out of Lansing, DC, distribution center. And we had drop ships all the time. They would come in, and the reason that you do it that way is since we're going, I'm sending general merchandise to every single Meijer store, is as long as I've got a truck or trailer going to that store, let's put some of this merchandise. It never actually goes into the warehouse. It just stays right on the dock, goes on the back of the truck, and goes to the store. So drop ship or cross-docking. We're not actually going to, it's not an assignment, but if you look on page 687, under the case's master tag, and the study is about this Nicole Foster at Grand Valley State University. So master tag is actually in Montague, Michigan, which is the sister town of Whitehall, where I live and am right now. So master tag. So I know the master tag folks. I know the people that own it. And, Rick and Holly Hughes. All right. All righty. So that was chapter 15 on supply chain management. We'll be starting another chapter very shortly. Thank you.